All right, welcome everybody to our latest Live Motocross podcast as we talk all things MXGP, AMA Supercross, training and moto in general with former GP star and now trainer Brian Jorgensen. Firstly, thank you everyone for listening and supporting the site. We really appreciate it. We'd also like to thank our partners in Fly Racing, 24MX, Dirt Store and Fuchs Silkaleen for all their incredible support, as without them, none of this would be possible. All right, welcome, Brian. Great to be speaking again, mate. How's life? And thanks for joining us. Been flat out, no doubt.
Yeah, thanks a lot for bringing me on. Yeah, it's been quite a busy couple of months. Always November, December, and January, February. It's very busy months with a lot of training school in Red Sand, but it's been very nice. I really, I always said that what I do, it's definitely is a job, but for me, it's not only a job, it's also a passion. So when you have a passion doing what I do, it becomes a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, mate, you're doing a great job with it all out there. And obviously, you've got the training and the riding schools going on. You've got the work you do with the Blue Crew, which is shaping up for a massive year. So 2025 is looking pretty good on all fronts, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's really good, and like I said, I always do the combination of boot camps and what I call normal camps that people sign up, and I had so many nice, I always have. I've got to be honest. I always have so many nice customers, and the boot camp is something that I really enjoy because we get a little bit around everything, because it's obviously to be good at something. It's not only about just being able to twist the throttle. You also have to, be in physical good shape. You have to learn about recuperation and when to train hard and how to train hard. And then obviously we combine the training school on the boot camp with the technical drills, so they will learn. I always say if you want to go, you need to learn how to go fast before you start going fast. The other way around, it becomes very dangerous. So I always try to do more technical drills on the start of my boot camp, and then we go more into like motos, see how they feel. I will take them cycling after the training. Make sure that you keeping on top of their condition all the time, and also to have time to recuperate, because when people train hard, there's a lot of people say, yeah, but now I'm really tired and I need to take a rest. Where what I have learned over this is like, when you're getting tired is exactly where you should do active recovery. So even if some of the riders probably think that I'm a little bit mental, it's something that I learned over the years, that active recovery, it's a very important part of being ready for the next day. Where if you feel tired and you just go home and you just rest, and then you get up next morning, you're going to be even more tired, because all the lactic acid is sitting in the body. So it's a pleasure and it's a privilege for me to actually have that opportunity and try to teach the riders about some routines, which I think is very crucial and very important part of becoming, I will not say a professional rider. If you want to become professional, for sure, you're already on your good way, but even just to create routines for riders to be. So, but also I had a injury on the way. I was out riding for 3 weeks ago, and unfortunately, I put my leg down like very, yeah, very. I was actually going very slow because I was still on a siding lap with my own riders, and I put my leg down, and I really had a big rupture on my how can you say, the tendons of my muscles in the back. So two of the tendons actually came off the bone.
Wow.
So um, which was quite painful, I would say. So I came around this corner, my front wheel just slipped, and I just wanted to get support with my foot, and I was standing in my foot pegs like I normally do. So I didn't really think about it. I just thought, okay, I just put my leg out. But because they when we have a technical drill like we had that day, they rotate the track and water it really deep so we can create some really big ruts. So when I put my foot down, I didn't get the support that I was expecting. My foot just went basically in the ground, and then I turned around with the whole bike, and I just had something on the back of my bum. It was just elastic went, and I was like, what? I never had a muscle injury in my whole life, a tendon injury. So I was like, what the hell was that? Did I dislocate my hip or my knee or what happened? So I got up and tried to get some support on my left foot. And basically, when I stretched out my leg, I felt that the whole back of my leg just kind of like dislocated. My muscles. It was such a weird feeling. So, a long story short, so I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't able to cycle with the riders because the doctor basically said that he would recommend me to do operation, but then I kind of had to remind him that I'm not 20 years old and I'm probably not going to be professional cyclist or motocross anymore. So I said, what about if I just live like a normal life, which going to be still a lot of cycling and ride my bike when I feel like it, And he said, okay, then you maybe don't need an operation. So I think, fuck, thank God. I don't like hospitals. I got to be honest with you. So that was a bit of a setback. So I actually just started cycling the end of last week. And when you have your injuries, which even I've been quite blessed in my career, it really puts in thinking mode, because when you are injured and you cannot do what you love, and two things I really love in life is to exercise and to do motocross. And I do a lot more cycling than I do motocross now for obvious reason, because you can see just with a small mistake like this, or I don't even call it a mistake. I just don't know what happened. When we get older and you get to my age, obviously things are just not the same as it was when I was 25, So and not even that I wanted to go fast or prove a point or whatever. I was just warming up basically. But it just shows a little bit that fuck yeah, I am. But anyway, it's been a pleasure. And now the biggest pain is gone. My leg was completely black on the backside, and all the fluid went down to the knee. But we had a good week. I had to take a day off. I gotta be honest with you. I couldn't move. We had a day off, and I took an extra day off because I was in so much pain. And I kind of forgot how painful it can actually be when something happens. So, but now I'm all good again. I'm back cycling again and ready for my next couple of camps, which starts on Sunday. And then I have a massive Blue Crew, Yamaha Scandinavia Blue Crew camp on the 15th. So I'm kind of just overlapping two training schools. So another couple of weeks really busy, but hey, I love it. So it's not so bad.
Yeah, mate, it's awesome. Yeah, hopefully the recovery's smooth, mate. But yeah, it's just like we saw with Jet Lawrence's injury, tearing the ACL and meniscus, something what appeared to be relatively minor. And, he's probably out
Mm.
for a large chunk of the season. So it's brutal, mate, isn't it, motocross? You don't often get too many second chances and put all that work in. And like we were saying, you build the base and the preseason for these guys is so important. And those warm-up races are coming now. And we hope they all get through them healthy, because you got Hawkstone this weekend, the Italian ones. There was a Spanish championship one last weekend. There's some stuff in France. And yeah, they're all in these guys to sleep, nutrition, on and off the bike. And for something like that to happen, it's heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And that is one of the things, like that I really try to embrace with the riders. First of all, always go out and do your best, because your best today could be your worst tomorrow. So also embrace when you have a good results. But make sure that all the time when you go out, the only thing you can basically be in control of in your life is that you eat and you sleep and you're being focused. When you have all those things and you train in a good way, there's going to be a good chance that you can be fairly successful. But even if we can take example like Jet Lawrence, if you do all those things and you do down to the minimum of perfection, everything, one little a little bit too close of what's his name, Jason Anderson, and he kind of just changed direction a little bit, Anderson, and that made him like lose a little bit of balance, and then he was just so unlucky to put his leg down just in. Yeah, it's unreal, mate. It's unreal of the consequences that one little small mistake can have, and I tried it 3 weeks ago. I just did like a small mistake, and suddenly you're lying upside down with the bike going 8 kilometers an hour, and you think, what happened there? And then you have all this pain, and for him as well, to be that good and to make so much preparation, have a great team behind him, and probably one of the greatest riders ever I've seen riding a motorcycle. It just shows, how vulnerable this sport can be, like a small mistake or a little bit, something that you're not in control of, and you have 20 other riders changing direction. It's just, yeah, it's just so difficult. It's such a big, difficult pill to swallow, and sets him out for taking the Supercross title for this year for sure.
Yeah, it's obviously, guys like Ricky Carmichael and Villapoto really well, mate. And obviously you caught up with them at the Nations, and they had some brutal injuries too, but they had a really good run
Mm,
in the sport, won heaps of titles, and they left it early, mate. They retired, they were burnt out early. So it's a bit of a different trend these days, guys going longer. But yeah, you certainly, if you can avoid those injuries, like Jet's had two in 2 years now, it's not great because he is aiming for greatness. He wants to break records, he wants to do it all, and he's on that path. But these injuries, mate, they just can really have that sort of
mm,
dampening effect on the momentum, and then you got to build the base back up, which is he's a bit of a different case. You saw him SMX, he came back from the thumb injury and he won, and it's the Nations he was excellent at too. But it's just you never know how you're going to come back from each injury, mate. So hopefully
mm.
he can have a really good spell. And obviously I'd love your take on Prado's injury too. He really only got through two actual races, and in the third round he's out for the season as well, mate. So not good for him. Hopefully
Mm.
he's back for outdoors because he'll back himself as a title threat there because, two MX2 titles, two MXGP titles. He's an absolute freak outdoors. So not great when two of the heavy hitters of the sport in
Mm.
America and the world really have been injured in 2 straight weeks.
No, I mean, but again, like with what happened with Jet and also now Prado, like if you ask any great athletes or even someone in the business that have made it big or whatever, the first thing they will say that I learned nothing from achieving my goal, or maybe I didn't learn anything with winning. I learned nothing from winning, but everyone learns from losing, because when you lose or when you make a mistake or when something happened, you really get time to reflect on what happened. How can you perform better next time? What can you be more cautious of, or what can you do better? And I think those setbacks, even at the moment when things happen, we saw it with Eli as well last year, with a tandem just going suddenly with, you're fully 100% fit. And let's say he was on the road to win that championship, and if I had to bet my money, I would probably have betted on him last year because he was on that beast mode. But when things like that happens, it's so unacceptable, and it's like I didn't do a mistake, I didn't crash, I didn't do anything. Happens, and you have to accept that. And I think that's the same with Jet, or with Horko as well. Prado is that, it's just so unfair, but you learn so much from being sitting outside and having those dips in your career, because it does make you stronger. It doesn't make your mindset, when you can go through things like that. Like I think what Eli said as well, he wanted to quit, and he was, when that happened, it was like, that's it, but then when you get over that devastation and you get over that disappointment and hate and everything for what happened, you kind of like, why they're winners is because they'll be able to switch that mindset to something very negative, but learn to accept and then move on. And I think that is a true, how can I say, prospect of being a winner, is that you will have that capacity in your brain and in your personality to twist every little negative around. Yeah, okay, let's go. let's prove that I am the best. I am still the best at what I do. And I think that's why they are, Eli, and that's why Ricky, even Ryan Villapoto had the same thing when he came into a corner. He stepped his foot down one year when he was leading the championship and did his knee. And I think Ricky did the same. And that is the cruel of our sport, is you're not gonna go completely through without having anything, and you probably not learn and create the personality that you created with the mindset if everything just went perfect, because you learn nothing from winning. You get your bonus money, and of course that's the obvious goal for many people, but I think it's the tough time that really learns of who we are and what we stand for. And that was for myself as well. I felt many times you think, why is this happening, and I've done everything what I can, and I train and I sleep and I eat and I do everything, and why is this happening? But for some strange reason which I cannot explain, life have its way of bringing you up if you're if you're working hard, and there will definitely also be a backside of that medal as well, and you have to deal with that, and that kind of tests you through life. And when you can come back and show that you are capable of winning again, there's not a better feeling, and even if it's sad also with Jorge, I would really like to see him, Prado just going from 12 to 10 to 8, slowly just making some progression, because everything what he learns this year, it was never the goal to go out and win FIM, the Supercross AMA championship. It was the goal to get through the Supercross season with no injuries, and learn as much as possible, and maybe have a couple of highlights, and then go out fresh for the outdoor, and having an incredible shot of winning, with that bike and his capability of riding a motorcycle. For sure that could be possible, but now he have to come back. I don't know if he needed a surgery or he didn't, but come back and then start preparing for the outdoor.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, mate. It's obviously, like you said, it seems so unfair at the time and unjust, but I suppose how you respond to that adversity is so crucial, and obviously holds you in good stead to, get back to your level as quickly as possible, mate. And I guess while we're on the Supercross topic, it's still shaping up as an awesome season. Obviously, the title fights, Chase, Ken, Eli, and Webb. Maybe Anderson and Hunter Lawrence can get themselves into it, but it's just a stacked field. It's so impressive watching these guys go at it each week, and it's just so cool, like you were saying with Tomac as well. Like you saw him at the Nations in person, just seeing him. It's crazy what he's doing, mate. Even himself saying he feels like he might be at the best level of Eli we've ever seen. He's just on the limit, so fast when he wants to be. And if he can get those starts, it's pretty hard to bet against him this year too, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think Eli, he's still, shortly, but are showing his kind of capability to get into that, very, very dangerous beast mode, and the way that he rides. I saw some highlights for all the four races, or the three races they did with the triple header, and the last race where it was just unreal. Very impressive, the way you can just see that he has so much confidence in his bike, his frame, the way that I have set the bike up with the suspension. He will just put the bike anywhere, and he's such a strong guy, and such a capable physical capability that he can just go on like that. There's nobody that can probably beat him physically, and yeah, it's gonna be very, very tight racing. And unfortunately for the other guys, even I must say Roxon have really impressed me. I would not even thought that he would be up there again. So nothing, as we know, it's sealed. Who's going to win is even going to be very difficult to predict. I can just say that those, like Jason and Eli and Roxon, and yeah, there's also other, Webb as well. it's gonna be very interesting. I just really hope and pray for the sport, but also for the people that is racing, of course, that they will stay healthy and let the best man win. I don't have any favors, like to be, as a Yamaha ambassador and a Blue Crew ambassador. I will definitely like to see a Yamaha, but the deep inside my heart is like the best man should win. And at this moment, I don't even know. There's so many good riders that it's very difficult to predict. But in let's say in 5 or 6 rounds, yeah, there will be a more of a pointing arrow on which one is going to land on. And my bet, if I had to say my bet, I think Eli is solid. I think he knows how to win. He knows how to ride defensive, but he certainly also do know if he needs to step up a notch or two, he will put that thing on the line and he will just, go that 105%. And he's capable of that because that's where he moves around all the time when he needs to. And that was the same with Ricky. I think, the very incredible with Ricky Carmichael was that he, I was lucky enough to race him a couple of times, but also watch him a little bit, and he could do that. He could ride at 110% or 100%, and then he could just put that thing 110, for I don't know, as long as he needed, and then he could go down to like 95% and just being really smooth. He could show so many different character of his riding and will and determination that when he really need to push, the bike was sideways, it was all over the place. But like he said, he said to me once, this is how I practice, because that's how his mom was like teaching to ride a motorcycle. So for me, it's a normality when the bike goes sideways, and I have to like save it from out our space and bring it back. But then he also had that capability when he was there where he wanted to be. Then he could boom tune down and be just safe and just really ride it home, with being very smooth at the way that he rode the bike. So yeah, he had that capacity as well. And I think Chase Sexton, like Ricky also said on the podcast, his own podcast, is that he also had that capability, and he's strong as well. And it looked like they have set the bike up a lot better for him this year. But yeah, there's so many good riders. It's so difficult. I have a ton of respect for all of them, because it must be so tough when you have to go head to head against each other every weekend, and probably they don't even know who's gonna win, because the millimeter of who's gonna win, it's such a nobody's gonna go out and dominate a little bit what we saw with Ricky in some years in Supercross. It's just there's so many good riders, so they have to bring their A game every single weekend for the next, is it 15 rounds left or something like that? I cannot remember. And you just have to bring every weekend, you just have to bring the absolutely best version of yourself to be able to win. And that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, mate. Obviously, Tomac in full flight. You're sort of blending power, finesse, skill, aggression, and yeah, it's really cool that he can turn it on when he needs to, mate. And you're going to need that at some point. His top speed is probably the highest of anyone. So those fine margins, when he needs it, he can tap into that, which is really cool. And obviously, we've spoken a lot about the mind games and how you use them and how they've been used against you. And Deegan loves a bit of mind games, and you can see the stuff with Juju, and it's sort of. Obviously, you wouldn't think there'd be 4 different winners in 4 rounds in the Supercross, but you had Joe, and then he had that really unlucky broken fingers issue, and then Juju, Deegan, and then Jordan Smith, first ever win for Triumph in Supercross, and the first win for FXR, the gear brand. So really cool. That's shaping up really nicely, that series as well, mate. But Deegan, he usually, he talks the talk and walks the walk. Hasn't been quite as straightforward for him this year with some crashes and bad starts, but he's still awesome to watch. And I guess coming from someone like you as a racer that, you've beaten Ricky before, battling Everts, Smets, all these heavy hitters, mate, over your career, beating them, losing to them sometimes as well, mate. Must be pretty cool for you to see the approach and how he handles himself whenever he gets a chance. He's always trying to put a flex on someone and just have a dig here or there and just get in people's heads, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, that I raced some really heavy hitters in my time, and I beat Everts a couple of times, but I would love it to say there was a lot more, but it was not so easy, and the what I see with Deacon also now is that, like you said, he normally talks and then he backs it up, but maybe haven't this as strong this year to actually back it up. But yeah, I think you I think you can see those young riders, they like trying to make up a place. Who are they as a, what kind of personalities should they be, what kind of character. Ricky, in my world, Ricky was probably more down my liking of being, because he was very humble, but he would say less and do more. And when someone beat him, like, when Bubba Stewart, when he came up and start pushing his buttons, and everyone said he's the fastest man on the planet. And, you could just see that Ricky, instead of saying that, yeah, but, I'm going to beat him, he would be like, yeah, okay. So, but he knew that he's going to win the championship because he was the most consistent. And that was a great approach to have, talk less, do more. And Ricky was a good example of that, and that's probably my preference of personality. But also, I must say, I do like Deacon as well. I think he's a little bit more, you can say, cocky. And if you play that role, you really need to back it up, because otherwise it becomes a little bit of a backfire. So I think that yeah, but I think it's a part of growing up as well. Like, he's only young. Those kids are just young. That they're trying to find their place in racing and personalities, and maybe sometimes they're not completely sure about themselves, and they try to play a game. And when they get a little bit older, they kind of fall. And I know I got this. I don't have to say that I got this, but I got this because this is who I am. This is what I'm made of, and this is how I created my own personality with hard work, saying less and doing more. But it's also refreshing. You can say also, in another hand, when you're always trying to be perfect and humble, it could also be a little bit boring. You could see with, let's say, and I take another character like Ryan Dungey. He was very mellow and a little bit diesel, and it didn't say a lot. But some people like myself probably appreciate that, and other people said, "Oh, he's really boring." So I think it's great to have different personalities in the sport. I never see it as a negative thing, or I don't like him because he's more cocky. I think it's great to have people like that, that have that wanna do the talk, and then obviously also back it up many times. I mean, let's face it, outdoors and what he have achieved now, he have backed it up. My son said, when he started following him, my son Sean, and he was always watching Deacon on YouTube, and he said, "Dad, yeah, he's gonna be so fast." And I said to him, honestly, I said straight up, I said, you know what, I don't think he's gonna be that good, because he already have it all. I just couldn't see him progressing from there, because I'm thinking, like, he have money from YouTube, we have. I would not say everything handed to him, because that's a wrong word, because I know that's not true. But he had it maybe a little bit easier than other people, and I'm thinking he's gonna run out of steam. When it becomes really professional, he already have it all. Have the nice car, the nice high house, and everything, because he created something unique at that time with YouTube. So I didn't, honestly, and I still hear that from my son. He said, "What did I say? What did I say? He's gonna be amazing." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. I I definitely can see. Maybe I made a mistake there, but I'm still happy that he made it. It's not like I didn't want him to be good at what he do, but in my mindset, I thought it would be difficult for him to keep setting higher goals, because he kind of have it all. But he proved me wrong, and he's a very hard worker. He goes out and he races with his heart. You can see that for sure. And for him, maybe now it's not about money. It's about you know backing up for himself and proving that, I'm not only here because my dad Brian Deegan, made a good career. I'm here for myself, and I'm here to prove everyone that I'm capable and I deserve to be in this team and what I'm doing now. So yeah, no, the MX2 class is also very, very interesting because there's not much of you can see there's not so much of a plan and strategy. They go wide open from start to finish, and then let the hope that the the best man win. And even with Yoshimoto, on the Honda, it was looking very good. And unfortunately, it happened that with his hand, which was nobody's fault. I don't even know how it's possible to put a pit board out that far and then hit it, and not seeing that something comes out in front of him. But maybe it was in the last moment. I didn't see the incident close enough.
Yeah, absolute disaster for him, wasn't it, mate? But yeah, he still bravely fought through, and now he's got a couple of weeks off while they do the East Coast series. But yeah, it's really cool, like you were saying there, mate. Some guys like to let the riding do the talking. Some guys like to let both. But yeah, the drive and desire of Deegan is super impressive. And I guess we'll move on to, MXGP a little bit, mate. Chat obviously
Yeah,
about that. A lot of dudes. You're very well aware of the pre-season winter training they've been doing, obviously building into some of those pre-season races, but it's going to be a massive series, and I'll go through a few names, mate, and you really get an idea how stacked MXGP, even though Prado, the reigning champion, is not there. But you still got Hurlings. How will he be after coming back from that injury? You got Renault, a man you know very well as well. Geyser, Lucas Coonan on the 450, mate. That's going to be box office, seeing how he does. Febvre, Siwa, Jonas on the Kawasaki, Valandrin, another bloke you know well, Yago, Ferrato, Horgmo, Guadagnini, Gifting, Van Donnick, Bogas, Bonacorsi, Coldenhoff, Fernandez, Watson and Koch on the beater. Toondell as well, showing that he can put it up there in the top 5, top 10 area. So if they all stay healthy, mate, it's going to be a massive season of MXGP, isn't it?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I don't remember. Did you mention Paul Jonas?
Yes, on the Kawasaki.
Yeah, I think that he is gonna surprise a couple of people. I don't have any proof. Uh, I'm just looking at from a rider's point of view. I think that bike will fit him really well. And if obviously what I have seen so far with, I haven't seen him ride, but I've seen Febvre ride down in Red Sand when I was having my boot camp. And again, that bike was very well set up. He also do like a man, do look like a man that is on his last mission. And that is for sure. I mean, Febvre it's quite easy to predict sometimes because the way that he rides with the intensity that he rides, you can really see when he is going for a world championship. And if you look at the statistics of what is possible this year, he will definitely see himself as the man to beat, which can be a great thing. It can also be a disadvantage. It depends on the mindset of the rider. Some people like to be the man, try to beat me, and other people like to be more like a dark horse and go, I'm gonna show you. Nobody expect anything from me. But yeah, I think he's gonna be really strong. I must say, and that's not only because I know him personally, but yeah, Maxime Renault is it's I stayed with him for 14 days, and I have a ton of respect for him because he's first of all he's the nicest guy that you could ever meet. The most humble guy that you could ever imagine, and he's such a hard working and have such a great mindset. So obviously, I think of knowing him that well now, I definitely want him to do well, and I know that he can do well. The challenge for him is to be, being control of his own, he wants to do so well. No, you don't have to tell that guy, let's bring some more motivation into it, because that guy is loaded every time we got up, 7 o'clock in the morning. We did yoga. He was there on time. He doesn't miss a beat. This guy is like, he's a machine. He is a pure, absolutely beast machine. And I can tell you right now, there is nobody in that field that will beat him physically. That guy is so strong. I have never seen. I rode with him in Calpe. I know that I'm not, on a professional level, but I think I'm in pretty good shape for my age and for what I do. And he is just a beast. So for him to have a great season, he needs to control. He's not wanting to do too much in the beginning, but really trying to lever it out over the whole season and try to eliminate the small mistakes. And I hope that he will be really good. Together with a lot of riders. I wish everyone to do well. Because I know that to be on that level, what it takes. It's such a little fine line between being successful and then losing everything for what you have worked on for that season. So it can go so quickly, but I think the MXGP class also with Geiser, having the experience, he probably also see himself, okay, but Rocco Prado is not here. He was fighting for the world championship, and of course I'm gonna be the man. Which he's gonna be amazing as well. But I think there's a couple of hitters in that class that we haven't maybe heard so much about, that's going to come in and make some incredible surprises, especially in the beginning of the season. I tend to see, the title favorites. They will maybe, in my opinion, do a little bit more of a, okay, let's see this at, the long term. We are not going to win a world championship today, but we can definitely lose it today. So let's start out in a good way. And I think that would be the same with the preseason races. I think, if I remember right, I think Paul Jonas is going to go to the preseason races in Hawkstone, I believe. Fernandez is going to go. Maxime Renault is going to go there. I think, we're going to see maybe not necessarily the person that the people that can win the world championship are not necessarily going to go to Hawkstone and bring it all out there. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's going to be other names in there where you're going to get a little bit of a surprise and thinking, why did Roman Faber or why did Maxime not perform? But I believe it's because they have a plan. So they want to build up the season, get out of those preseason races, build up the season, and this is my prediction. I could be completely wrong, but this is my idea that they're gonna go there, learn, feel about the bike, feel about the suspension, because this is gonna be the, very close to the last test before they go to Argentina, and then it becomes real. Then we are fighting for a championship, So that bike needs to be 100% set up. Or close to 100%, and that's why I think when you're doing that still in the preseason races, you're going to be thinking about, is there something on the chassis? Is there something on the suspension? Is there bits and bobs that we can change to make it more confidence into Argentina? So, and I think they're going to be more focused on that, because they know when it's go time in Argentina, they need to be, up there.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see, mate. And obviously, a lot of those guys, like you've seen in person, have been pounding out the laps in Spain and obviously in Sardinia as well. A lot of teams based there. Obviously, the nice weather during the European winter, mate, or the nicer weather. And I suppose that gives them a little bit of a gauge, obviously, on different surfaces as well to get the bike tested. But also, some of their competitors, they get to see training and, testing themselves as well. So it's a little bit of an insight into see who's doing what, who's looking fast. And, it's a pretty cool sort of way to do it, mate. But yeah, moving into Argentina as a racer yourself, mate, obviously you see what happened to Brent Van Donik there last year, had that really bad injury and got stuck over there and issues with getting home. Do you, as a racer, approach that one as just, I want to get through this one? With those flyaway ones, you may be not so sure on the medical conditions and how the treatment will be if you do get hurt. Does that play in the back of your mind? Because over the years, you've seen in different countries that, Everts even had that issue in China, didn't he, mate? It sounded like the care was great for him. You heard different blokes in Mexico and Brazil over the years, various levels of healthcare and treatment. So does that play in your mind too, or is it as a racer, you're just all guns blazing and hope for the best?
I mean, to be honest with you, now I can only speak for personal experiences and how my mindset is. I will never go to somewhere in Brazil and thinking, I don't want to crash here. Because if you do that, then you're already kind of telling your brain that something could happen. And I know that it's in the long back in my head that something could happening, because it is motocross, it is racing. Anything can happen at any moment. We saw that last year, as you said. But I think it's very important to be completely focused on, when you have done a preseason, practice, like I know all the guys have had. You got to go there full confidence that you're just going to go out and you're going to focus about yourself. You're going to go out and do your absolutely best. If I'm in China or I'm in this, I mean, if I start thinking that, this could be really dangerous because we are 150 kilometers away from the hospital, then to be honest with you shouldn't be there. Then it might as well just stay home. But if you can come with a fullständig clear mindset of thinking, I've done everything what I can, I practice, I eat, I slept, I did everything what I could, let me be free and just ride up to my own best capabilities. And I think that's the mindset. And why I'm saying that is because, let's face it, in my time, there was not a lot of, you can say, protection, and we didn't, I didn't ride with a shoulder protector, or a chest protector, a back protector, and when I tell people today, and when people ask me, oh, you're crazy because you did that, and I said, yeah, I am crazy because this is why I became good at riding a motorcycle, because I don't think about the consequences, because if I do that every time I go out, it would be really dangerous. So you can say, for my mindset, it was something about that. I knew that I didn't have a lot of protection. I had a little bit of a foam thing. First of all, it motivated me to take a good start, because if I didn't take a good start, I would be absolutely shot everywhere, and it would really hurt for 40 minutes. So that was my motivation one. And motivation two is that I make sure that I don't make the mistakes that have very high consequences. So that would mean my focus have be 100% all the time. And that means that my preparation with food, drinking, eating, sleeping, and, physical training will have to be at perfection. So when I had all those aspects in place, then I never thought about going to the line and thinking, there could be a consequence that I could fall in the first corner. It didn't even, pass my mind. Because if it start passing my mind going down to the gate, I know that I shouldn't line up. It will probably be something you can think in the week or the year before, or, you always know that you don't want to end up in a bad situation. But that's why we train, and that's why we are focused, and that's why we're doing something 100%, and we don't do it 99. Because when you are in that zone of always being able to perform on your highest level, then there's a good chance that things doesn't go wrong. And that's the way that I like to keep my mindset. So I think everyone's gonna go to Argentina, knowing that there's a risk, which they already knew, because they're not there at the highest level without having something happen over their career. So, but you're gonna go out and you're gonna, just being 100% focused on getting that start. And, whatever that happens. You are not in control. You cannot reverse the film and think, oh yeah, I knew that's going to happen. We just have to go full blast and basically hope for the best, and all the preparation you have done. That's why we race on the highest level of the sport is when you have done all the ingredients to get there and be safe. When you're in good shape, when you have a good mindset, when you're relaxed and have a good team and have gave the right instructions to the team for the bike, yeah, then you trust your bike 100%. And that means if you land on the right side or the left side, you already know the reaction of what the bike is going to do. And that's just to go forward, I think.
Yeah, it's really interesting insight, mate, from a racer like yourself and like a particularly mentally strong one. The way you look at things is really cool, mate. And I guess the MX2 class, we'll touch on that now. There's a lot of really fast young blokes that, like you said, they don't mind keeping it pinned, mate. Their thought processes aren't quite as developed. The racecraft's still not quite there. You see it, just younger racers and younger people in general. Sometimes the decision making, it just takes time to develop and mature and stuff, but it's always great racing. And there is some guys that are, at the elite end. And obviously there's not particularly hugely experienced racers with that age rule at 23. Someone like Harrop has had to go out of that class now. It would have been great to see him go around again. So you can touch on the age rule if you want to, but the likes of Sasha Kuhn and Everts, Langenfelder, De Wolf, the defending champion, Beniston will be looking for a really good year. He's had a lot of injuries and just hasn't quite fulfilled the potential like he knows that he can. And Elzinger, Vallon, Latta, Zanke, Razulis is going to be amazing. He had a really good second half of the season on that Yamaha. Adamo, 2023 champion, will be good. Rossi, Volk, Fares, McClellan, those two on the Triumph will be really good to see, mate. It's a stacked class. They'll all be going for it, won't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, in that class, there's going to be names up there that me and you have not even probably thought about. Not because they come out of nowhere, because nobody comes out of nowhere and then trying to, go for a podium in MX2 World Championship. But there's definitely going to be, I know there's going to be a couple of names that you will not have been in your favorite. And I'm not going to mention it, but it's just in my own little, I know a couple that I think that, he still have to prove a lot to himself, but I have seen a couple of riders where I think, okay, it doesn't maybe have but that guy is gonna surprise a couple of people if the bike will live up to his capability of riding with a good speed and be competitive to the Yamaha factory bikes and the KTM and also the Triumphs. So it's going to be very exciting, and I think Sasha Kunin is also going to be up there again. You see every year that he kind of perfectionized the small things of. You could see that 2 years ago he had the speed. He was always a good starter, but didn't quite have the stamina. And last year it started coming together for Marco Di Tontino, where he actually won a moto. And you can see that was such a huge release for him, just proving that, I'm not just going to let everyone by, because it's not in my nature to do that. But there is, mindset of what I want to do and that what I'm capable of doing. And sometimes you have to just, you don't have the strength to do that. He's quite a little guy, but it seems like he kind of like sussed it out, like step by step all the time, become stronger. Then he could, go for the lead for 20 minutes and then for 25 minutes and then suddenly win a race. And then, a little bit unlucky and got the injury as well. But I think he will be back for more this year, and he will, he's an amazing starter. And we know that what happens, when you can really start in MX2, it's going to be a lot easier not to win you can say it's going to be more difficult not to win a race when you can take a good start. So, and I think he showed that improvement from last year, that he was capable of doing, 30, 35 minutes wide open before he got injured. So I think he's going to be up there. And who else is? Langefelder is going to be there again. Adamo it's going to be there, but I'm not sure if they're going to be my favorites. I'm not sure, but we will see at and in Argentina. Then we give us a little bit of more of a clear picture of what's going to happen. But definitely a stacked class with very competitive riders in the same level. So that's going to be very interesting to see. First of all, who have the capability to win, who have done a good work over the winter, and who have the the stable, the what you say, the consistency of being there every weekend. So and not to mention also Lucas Konen. I haven't seen him ride this year, but I think he would be one of the guys in MXGP class that probably will surprise. I'm not sure if it's gonna be like a straight line of consistency, because to ride a 450 like he rode a 250 is will be fairly difficult. Let me put it like that. But yeah, we will see. He will probably also be really good. He's a very good rider. He showed incredible speed at the end of the season and Motocross of Nation, where he actually beat a lot of the before he fell off, he was going through and passing Roxon and everyone on the 250. So for sure he's gonna be up there as well.
Yeah, mate, he's definitely super confident. He's one of the most exciting talents in the world for sure. It'd be interesting to see what his trajectory looks like because he wants to go to Supercross pretty soon as well, mate. But yeah, obviously heading in, Kite Wolf's probably the favourite because Lucas Coonan was the one that was pushing him,
Yeah.
and he's obviously vacated that class to go to MXGP. So you never know in racing, mate. It's going to be fascinating. And obviously, one last topic which we had a chat about off air was the training facilities and getting your take on it, mate. They obviously do it pretty well in America. That streamlined, sort of all in approach, less distractions. You train there, it's all set up. The tracks are there, the workshops there. It's just streamlining everything to make the best athlete, to make the best bike, to really just make the best rider, so run races and get those results. You've seen the Baker's Factory, what Star are doing. Triumph have got a similar thing going. The Dog Pound,
Mm.
Sandbox, Club MX, they're all variations of a riding facility. Obviously, more of those other ones, the Sandbox and the Dog Pound, are more sort of training track, not as probably as much infrastructure, but it's all there,
Mm.
mate. They're great environments for success. So just your take on it, mate. There's a lot of that sort of competition every day. Who can be the top dog, especially at Star? You got to show up. You got to be sort of on your game and deal with having setbacks and not being the fastest guy. All that stuff helps grow an athlete, doesn't it, mate? So your take on it all.
Yeah, well, my take, I think, is genius. The way that they have, if I talk about Star Yamaha, the way that they have created the facilities. First of all, a lot of people come from the West Coast to the East Coast now to train, because the West Coast, you have Corona, which have great Supercross tracks, but a lot of traffic to go in and out, and you're basically wasting a lot of time. You're wasting a lot of, you know, technical time, with the bike and coming back to the workshop, preparing the suspension or the engine setup, or even the rider to be able to recuperate for the next day. I mean, it's genius to have everything on the same compound for many reasons. First of all, you save so much time. You go in and out. You do your warm up in the morning. You go out on the bike, do your drills. You do, from there you do the cycling and whatever they do after. And the mechanic and the team have so much more time to reflect on the day and where we can be better for tomorrow. The second thing is the absolutely, how can you say, the advance to have all those young riders and some of the best Supercross rider like Eli, and with all the experience that you have. I don't believe that it goes there all the time, but there will be different time of the season where everyone rides together, which is basically the boot camp leading up to the first Anaheim one. And for the young riders to be there, chasing Eli and Cooper Webb and basically creating that race atmosphere. It's like every day they go on the track is like a race simulation. When you can race simulation and you can deal with that pressure and riding with the same rider that's probably going to win during the weekend. I mean, going to the weekend is just going to be like a normal day in the office. It's not going to be like, oh yeah, am I fast enough? And what about this guy? And because they're all so fast. Eli is, one of the fastest guys in the world in Supercross. So when you can hang with him, you're doing quite well. Then you're on your game. And he used the young riders to get inspiration, because he's the end of his career. The other ones are like really young, and they want to be like Eli, and Eli have to stay on his toes to be able to, with the new talent coming up with new techniques, with more creativity and everything, how they ride the motorcycle like Hayden Deegan does. And that is just such a smart thing, to not train together maybe all the time, but bring those riders in, and they be able to spar against each other, and see some of the best in the world with all that experience. And I think that really put an edge to Star Yamaha, and why we're seeing them being so successful, because a race day doesn't just become a race day, it's become a normality. So every day in the week, it's normal that we are racing together. So you got to perform on your highest level. And to perform on your highest level during the week brings the consistency for all the races, because it's just, like I said, it's just another day. You have to deal with that pressure, not being the best today or not being the best in the first moto. But now we go out and, maybe I will be the best today, because the margin of being the best and not the best is maybe only 2%. So, when you can gain the 2%, you will win the race instead of becoming second or fourth, because you have so many people that can ride really good at practice. And then the young riders can ride maybe even sometimes more fast in practice, but need to learn how to do it in racing, and bring that consistency, which Deacon is, you can see in previous years he had, and probably will also get this year. There's a couple of tweaks that I think he needs to figure out. And then he will be, on the line of being more consistent. But I think it's something that we are missing here in Europe, probably, also with Factory Yamaha. They have a great workshop there with Hansi and the Factory MXGP team, with Calvin and Maxime and what's the last name is Jago. Yeah, they have a perfect facilities, but they're missing a track where they can practice together, and again, saving time. And from my point of view, which is only taking out from my point of view, if I was Yamaha, I will let them practice together, because sometimes, maybe not every day, but let them practice together. So they are, Jaco gets is second in the world. Maxime Renault is won a world championship in MX2, and then you have Calvin Ferlanders, which have improving incredible speed towards middle of last season, and was a little bit unlucky with his knee. But why don't put those riders together sometimes and create that normality of racing, and using that race simulation, because in not so many weeks from now it becomes reality. So more you can create that simulation of racing, you more of a normality it's going to be. We turn up at wherever we turn up, and it's just going to be a normal day on the job, and you don't have to think, am I good enough? There's a lot of stress factor going to racing, and it's something that I would have wished when I was younger and had to learn, that if we could create that kind of structure in the week where you can race with some of the best in the world. We all wandered off to different places. I was living in Italy, Stefan was living in Monaco, and Smets was in Belgium, and then we meet in the weekend, and then now we are fighting together, and let's see where we are in practice. We had 2 times 40 minutes practice, and then qualifying, and but we had time to look at each other, where today they're practice and then straight out to pretty much practice, qualifying, and race, qualifying, race. So, and I think you have a lot less time to kind of coming into your groove. You have to be bum straight on it. And I think that's what you can create with having the facilities like Star Yamaha or Triumph, or all the big teams in the US especially have it. I know it's more difficult here in Europe, because the time of place, even in Belgium, it's more difficult to keep the tracks, on path, because, we're getting more population, and people want that land to build houses or factories or whatever. So it is definitely more difficult, where you see like in Orlando and that side of the East Coast, there's more space, there's more space to make farms like this. I think you have all the in Tallahassee, you have the goat farm. I don't exactly know where the other farms are located, but probably from Orlando and up, I would say. So it's definitely a smart move by Yamaha and by a lot of the teams to create that racing environment during the week, so it becomes a normality.
Yeah, well said, mate. It's really great insight. And it can certainly, yeah, the results, often prove it that it is a pretty good program. It doesn't work for everyone, obviously. Everyone's not, suited to that kind of environment, but it's really cool, mate. And yeah, it's been great to have a chat to you about a host of topics, mate. But before we let you go, any final thoughts? Anything you're looking forward to on the Supercross, just with your work, all the training schools, the GPs coming up, Hawkstones this weekend as well, mate. There's a lot going on, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm very interesting to see the Supercross. Where's the era gonna go? Is it gonna go to Eli Tomac? And I think we will see that over the last, 4, 5, 6 Supercrosses, you have a good perspective on what's gonna happen because the first 5 rounds is gonna be like, they're still trying to gain that momentum and see where they are, and then you know, like I said, once I think what we have seen over the years, once Eli comes into that beast mode where he can be in, he's gonna be very dangerous. But like I said, there's so many good riders, and with Hawkstone, it's gonna be very interesting also with Mantova to see who have done a good preparation and like I said, we would probably see some of the favorites will probably do well for, of course, but not necessarily try to go out and win, but more to go out with an analytic point of view on how is the bike, where can we improve. If I win, let's try to go that way. If I finish third or second, it's not going to be a major thing, but let's make sure that we make that step. So when we go to Argentina, we are ready to race, and I think that's what we're going to see. And that's why I think, in my point of view, you're going to see some people there that you think, oh yeah, but I thought he's going to win because he's a title contender. But there will be other people more hungry to win that race than the people are thinking about, okay, I want to win a world championship. So I'm going to look further ahead and more smart of making sure that my bike is completely set up for the first round of the world championship. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to get the MXGP season kicked off, and I think there's going to be some great racing, and I think there's going to be a couple of surprises as well. A little bit to myself.
That's going to be awesome, mate. We definitely look forward to it. Yeah, thanks again for your time. And obviously, thanks again for the partners in Fly Racing, 24MX, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Silkaleen for all their incredible support. As without them, none of this would be possible. All right, thanks again for joining us, Brian. All the best, and we'll catch up soon, mate.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. Have a good one.
No worries, mate. You too. Have a good one.